Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mark Loeffler Experience. We're going to talk about the federal budget and how it's going to affect housing and what we need to do about it. As real estate investors, what are we taking away from this? And basically, the federal government, the Liberals and the NDP, want to make housing more affordable. This really just plays lip service. I don't think this fixes one thing at all. That's just my opinion. There are some good programs that they're running, but at the end of the day, I don't know that this is going to affect us the way they want. Here's the OECD average. We know that obviously there's a bit of a supply issue in places like Ontario and BC. And when you just give everybody free money, which is still going on, interest rates are still less than inflation. So that means that typically, if you kept that money in the bank rather than going to get a mortgage, you would be losing more money on it than if you go ahead and you get a mortgage, even at today's rates. But as you can see, we're right in line with, United States, Australia, New Zealand. If you see Ontario and BC, those numbers are going to skew us down, whereas the rest of Canada skews us up. Federal housing investments, it's going to go up to 12, 13 billion, but it's going up 20%. And in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I don't think any government money is efficient. They just do not use money efficiently. There's so much bureaucratic nightmare. It sticks to the hands of employees or cronies or whatever. It just doesn't feel like this is going to get down to where they want it to get to. So key ongoing actions, more than $42 billion in federal support for construction and repair of rental housing, affordable housing, and shelters. Yeah, that's support, by the way. So that could be the CMHC MLI Select program, which I actually think is a good program. Basically, it'll pay, if you're going to develop rental housing, it'll pay 95%. It'll give you a loan for 95% of your cost, up to a 50-year amortization mortgage. It's a good program, in my opinion. $15 billion in joint funding with provinces and territories, including a housing benefit to provide direct rent assistance. And I've talked about this before, I haven't talked about it for a while, is that, in my opinion, I don't think private landlords should be expected to foot the bill for anybody. They're in business to be making money. And, we've had stupid inflation these last couple years. Even before, the cost of rental housing hasn't kept up with inflation because, 1% a year you can increase your rent. Our costs are going up 7-8%. Heck, our taxes are going up more than 1% per year. The local governments can't keep their budgets in that 1%. How am I supposed to do that as a housing provider? I think that they should be doing more. If the goal is to provide housing for low-income people, subsidize it. Do it like the Section 8 program in the States. And by the way, that program, if you are troublemaker, so you get in trouble with the police, like you go to jail, you're actually convicted, you get kicked out. If you damage the unit, you get kicked out. If you don't pay your portion, which is 10% of the rent, you're gone, right? They're a very, very strict program, and people don't want to get kicked out of that program because, again, it provides up to 95% of their rents. We don't have that same thing here. I think that's where they should be putting this money and making that investment. Fix that side. It's not a private landlord's issue that ODSP and welfare or whatever that's called right now hasn't kept up with inflation. Don't put this on a private individual, the lack of government foresight. Okay? I'm just going to leave that out there for a second. More than $11 billion in support for community and social housing. More than $2.7 billion in distinctions-based support for housing and Indigenous communities, which they can't even fix the water in those places. More than $3 billion for Reaching Home, commitment to eliminate chronic homelessness by 2030. Good luck. tabling legislation that would implement Canada's first national vacant housing tax on non-Canadian, non-resident owners. I mean, basically what's going to happen here is they want to build more houses, and there's going to be a housing accelerator fund. It does talk about this a bit here in this budget, is that, they're going to work with the municipalities to cut red tape. This is more of an issue in Ontario, Quebec, I think, BC, than in some of the other provinces. But some of the other provinces are swinging this way as well, where they're putting more red tape on than less. Infrastructure funding to encourage more home construction. Again, you put in things that allow somebody to take, a single family home and put in a 6-story building. Like that's definitely going to help. That's going to create more housing. Leveraging transit, of course we should. Around transit, we should be building up and building, higher density, because people don't need cars if they live close to transit. Building more affordable and energy efficient rental units. So the rental construction financing initiative, there's a lot of this with the MLI program. I actually think this is going to have an effect. If you have a bad tenant in other areas, you can work to get them out quickly, so you're not affecting the reasonable enjoyment of the property by actual great tenants. And in Ontario, that just doesn't happen. I mean, I'll just give you an example. I sold a property, a 6-unit, to a person, and they bought it, and there was a fire damaged unit. That person had the right to reoccupy that unit. They've set fire to their own unit twice. The other people in the building were like, hey, we're moving out if this person moves back. And there's no way under landlord tenant board that they can get that person out. This is what we need to fix. Obviously, that person has some issues and needs help. That's not a private landlord's job. Housing is a hot button issue. We talked about affordable housing in the north, that they can't even fix the water in some of these areas. Multi-generation home renovation tax. So if you're going to build a second unit, you can get up to $7,500. So you can claim 15% off up to $50,000. Everything helps. If I'm going to build a secondary suite in my property and they're going to give me free money, I'm going to take it. Why wouldn't I? Green buildings. I would have liked to see more incentives around this, changing out furnaces, windows. We used to have better programs for that, and I think it really does help. They've just talked a whole bunch about the supply side, how they want to fix the supply side. I've never known any government to be that efficient with these things. They're going to say, oh, we want to help first-time home buyers buy homes. They want these first-time home buyers to be basically voting for them. So there's a whole bunch of things like the tax-free first home savings thing. You can save up to $90,000 between two people over 5 years. So that's not going to come in. We're not going to see that really affect anything for a while. It's going to be up to in 5 years. Double the first-time home buyers tax credit up to $10,000, which in places like Toronto is barely a bit of your land transfer tax. Supporting rent-to-own projects, $200 million. Under the existing affordable housing initiative, which is probably already has some money in there, but that's basically $3 per Canadian, $2 to $3 per Canadian per year that they're going to put in there. So that's really just paying lip service. Protecting buyers and renters, because we need to be protected. The more they use words like this, it really leads me to believe that they have no real clue and that they're going to do more harm than they are going to do good. So they're going to engage provinces and territories over the next year to develop and implement a home buyer's bill of rights to bring forward a national plan to end blind bidding. Okay. Among other things, a home buyer's bill of rights could also include ensuring a legal right to a home inspection and ensuring transparency of history of sales prices and title searches. We already have a right to have a home inspection. I've never been denied if I want to have a home inspection. If there's a bid date, I can have a home inspection before that bid date. Nobody's ever said that I couldn't. And especially with now that the market is cooling down a little bit, there's way more opportunity to do things like this than there was, 3 months ago when, we were limiting people to 15-minute increments at properties, because that's like that. They were booked from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. all day. Like that's just, they've already curbed the demand side. Mortgage rates basically quadrupling from 1% to almost 4%. That's really slowed down the demand side, and which really tells us that free money is what was driving this bus right now, right? 2 years, foreign buyers are not going to be able to buy. But listen, if you're still a student, or if you live here in any way, shape, or form, and you're here legally, then you're going to be able to buy real estate. And that's what was happening with all those mega mansions in BC anyways, right? Making property flippers play their fair share. I don't think they're talking about people who renovate houses for money. They're more talking about people who buy a home. And this happened a fair bit. Like I saw people, they bought a home in August, and in January, February, their price was up like some stupid amount. They haven't done any work to it. And they sold that house for a profit, which again is probably not going to happen that much anymore. But anything sold within that same 12-month period, they're going to scrutinize more, which means and these people who are flipping these properties anyways are probably doing so in a corporation and paying corporate income taxes. So this isn't going to affect them at all. It is going to affect the people who are buying a property and saying it was their single family home and then selling it 4 to 6 months later. They're going to have to pay tax, which they should do. That's not in the spirit of what a principal tax credit is for, right? Like that's the tax exemption. That's not what it's for. When the CBC is sitting here telling us the federal budget is all smoke and mirrors, this is the liberal NDP pundit. Like this is like their propaganda. The government is paying for this propaganda, and they're saying it's all lip service. They are a liberal marketing machine, and basically they're talking about since the liberals took power, housing prices have doubled. And now we do understand that a lot of that, and they're taking it from the peak in February. It's come down a little bit since then. Why? Because, well, who knew that interest rates were causing this? And interest rates are going up. Therefore, housing prices will come down. They went up a lot since February, by the way. And it's no longer free money. It's still kind of free money because it's still lower than inflation. Ontario government is applauding the federal budget, saying it will complement its own plan, which we did talk about before. We'll link the DOFO video down below. $45 million effort to speed up development approvals. And obviously they tabled their bill last week, which we talked about a while ago, which will, again, I always find it funny. No opposition or any other party can say anything nice about any other one. Ontario NDP leader Andrea Horwath, her party is optimistic about restricting international home buyers will help, but blamed the PC government of Doug Ford for not doing more to protect renters and stop speculators. This budget is for the Ontario, this is for the city people, Toronto, Vancouver. This really focuses on them trying to buy their votes. I think it's all lip service. And I don't think that this is going to have any real impact on housing market in Canada. Come to me next time. I'll consult for you and we'll fix this thing right. Okay? Thanks, everybody. Catch you guys next time. Have a good one.